Hello, I'm David Hinds. Welcome to this edition of Hinds Sight. Well, the president of Guyana has announced that he would soon be calling elections. Now, you remember that the president had prorogued the parliament, as he said, with the hope that he would have gotten the opposition to come to the table and to have dialogue. Well, the opposition promptly said that they would not be having any dialogue with the president. And so, therefore, the cabinet secretary, Dr. Roger Luncheon, said that the proroguing of the parliament had failed. Well, and the president seems to have acknowledged that. Part of the failure was the failure of the strategy. The strategy of the proroguing of the parliament was, first of all, to avoid the no confidence vote. And secondly, the clear strategy was that they would have trapped the opposition as they did successfully in the past. That is, do their dirty work and then call the opposition and say, come, let's have a dialogue. They were banking on that. And they had good reason to bank on that because that has been the behavior of the opposition in the past. But this time, the opposition said no to dialogue, and so therefore the strategy began to unravel. And of course, the second aspect of the strategy was that having prorogued the parliament, the hope was to provoke the opposition and, get the opposition go onto the streets, and then they hope that the thing will turn violent, and they would then go to the traditional supporters of the PPP and said, look, these people are engaged in, and you can tell that the plan was to provoke violence. The response to the call by Dr. Rupnarayan for the burning of the newspaper, the Guyana Times and the Chronicle and so forth, and the response was that Dr. Rupnarayan was engaging in violence and so forth. Their excited and visceral response to Laurie Nestor's call for the boycott of businesses, and their own propaganda that if the opposition were to get into power, that blood will run in the Demerara River, etc., etc. So there was a clear plan to really use the proroguing of the parliament as a means of exciting a certain kind of response on the part of the opposition, and then to use that response to say to the Indo-Guyanese that here is it, that these people are wreaking havoc. That did not happen. And so therefore, the whole strategy behind the proroguing of the parliament has blown up in their faces. And so they're now left with no alternative than to go to the election, something that they could have done at the time that they prorogued the parliament. That is clear. If you didn't want to face a no confidence vote, you could have dissolved the parliament and called election. You didn't do it then. You are doing it now. But what is curious about the announcement, he did not immediately dissolve the parliament. He said he will do that in the new year. And you're hearing talk about the budget and so on. So there is something afoot. I think they're still playing for time. They're still hoping that because the parliament remains closed. So the hope is that between now and let's say February, if they're hoping that they some or the other may be able to get the opposition to come to the table. If you notice, the Private Sector Commission came up with this proposal for negotiations and the menu of activities. And clearly we know that the private sector is really the mouthpiece, as I read in some report today, for the PPP. So I think they're still hoping that over the next 2 months, that they will be able to work something out with the opposition and so avoid the no confidence vote, but also remain in power. Now, you know my position. You all know my position. It's very clear. I'm all for negotiations, not dialogue, negotiations. And my point is that if you're going to negotiate at this point, you ought to negotiate nothing short of shared government, a government of national unity. Other than that, as much as I am not too sure that going to election would be to the benefit of the opposition, I would say, as the WPA statement said, both done gonna fall. And so therefore, it's time to go to the election. But the PPP is still hoping to get something out of this. My position, as I said, is very clear. If they want something out of it, you have to give something. And if the opposition is asking for something, they must ask for something substantial. It must be for a government of national unity. So as we go through the Christmas holidays, let us bear in mind that this is not a normal Christmas that we eat, but let us be vigilant, because the future of the country is at stake here. So yes, the president said they failed. I mean, the opposition must take credit. Those of us who had kept up the pressure over the last 4 weeks must take credit, because they're forced to reverse that because the strategy failed, and secondly, because we have been vigilant. Now, we could have been much more robust in terms of our response to the proroguing, but it was enough to bring them to the table. So the very fact that they are now saying that the proroguing of the parliament failed, we must see that as a victory for the opposition and for the people of Guyana. Until the next time, this is David Hinds saying thank you for tuning in to another edition of Hinds Sight. Remember to catch my channel, my YouTube channel, Hinds Sight, Guyana-Caribbean Politics, or my website, Guyana-Caribbean Politics.com. See you next time.